I've been looking forward to this for a while. I've been looking for when the Canes were struggling for the first 3 games of the Eastern Conference Finals. There was this strange, loud contingent of Canes fans that on every tweet, every piece of content that I put out wanted to talk about how they had to move on from Rod. And they've reached their ceiling with Rod. And they'd cite the Eastern Conference Finals losing streak, and they'd very surface level defend their point. And I didn't have time then, right? Because there was always another Eastern Conference Finals game coming on. There was always an injury that we were working on how they would overcome it, right? Or there was always a line shift or something. So many of you, I just said, remind me in a couple weeks or remind me when we have time. I want to have this conversation with you, but I don't have time right now. So I thought we'd start it now. You're foolish if you want to move on from Rod Brind'Amour. That's where it starts. And if you were just lashing out because you were mad because they got beat 5-0 in game 2 or something like that, and you've come to your senses, I'll give you that out, right? If you just want to go, I was seeing red, that's fine. But if you seriously think there's a chance, you're missing the forest for the trees. Now, first, Rod Brind'Amour was on with Adam Gold just like an hour ago here on 99.9 The Fan, and he talked about taking some time to step back and reflect on the playoffs, which is, I think, something we all should do.
As time has gone by here, I realized, I thought the group just did everything they could. And then at the end of the day, that's what you want out of your team. Obviously, we talked about it. We want to be better. We want to beat Florida, but with what went on in that series, with what kind of the injuries we had, what we were putting out there, on the back end especially, I thought those guys hung in there. And, I think it gives us a good feel for what we have and then where we need to get better.
There is a phenomena in sports that not many people are subject to. And it's a very specific group. But you have to be aware of it when it happens. And the rule should be this: don't punish them for overachieving. It happens just to a few, right? People that are able to drag a roster that maybe isn't as talented past more talented rosters into things like the conference championship or into the finals of their professional sports league. And then they get there and they go up against a team that's just simply better and they lose. And then they get this premier record held against them. Right. And I hate to use this example because it drums up a billion other of tired debates, but LeBron suffers from this. LeBron takes rosters that have no business in the finals, winning the East, takes him to the finals, loses to an all-time great team. Now people are yelling about his record in the finals isn't as good as other greats, and I'm going don't punish him for overachieving. Right? If he would have lost in the second round of the postseason with that roster, nobody would hold it against him, but because he made it to the finals, now his finals record is bad. And a bit of that is happening with Brind'Amour. He's made the Eastern Conference Finals a good amount of times. I don't think there are a lot of other coaches that make it a good amount of times to the Eastern Conference Finals with those particular rosters. Do not punish him for overachieving. Go back to, when was it? The 2019, right when he first takes over. He made it to the conference finals. That regular season, they were the 4th best team in the Metro.
Yeah, they barely made it into the playoffs.
They had stunk the previous 9 years. 2 of their 3 leading point scorers in that game, or in that season, one was a 21-year-old, one was a 37-year-old. Sebastian Aho and Justin Williams, who, you hear their names, you think, oh, wow, that's such a good core. But 21-year-old Aho is not prime Aho, and 37-year-old Justin Williams is not 30-year-old Justin Williams. They had no business in the conference finals that year. And then, yes, they got swept. Had no business being there, but got swept. So now
against a great Boston team.
Very much so. So now in this year, right, he starts off rough and in the Eastern Conference Finals, and everyone's citing this Eastern Conference Finals losing streak, and I'm going, a third of that streak, they had no business being there. They way overachieved to get there. I'd argue this year they overachieved to get to an Eastern Conference Finals based on everything that happened. And so he can't win in the conference finals because he gets there when he shouldn't. Give him the roster and you'll make it farther. Right? Give him the roster and you will make it farther. There's a few examples I could use. Actually, shout out to whoever emailed me. I apologize. I don't have it in front of me. Compared him to Dean Smith. Now, we're crossing sports. We're crossing eras. It's not a perfect comparison, but Dean Smith had to make it to the Sweet 16, had to make it to the NCAA tournament a whole bunch of times before he finally won a national championship with Carolina. Right? It's like 20 years as head coach before he won his first NCAA championship. And he had that moniker, couldn't win the big one. Well, it turns out you give him a couple of Hall of Famers, and yeah, he can win the big one. He did it twice. I think the same is true for Rod Brind'Amour. He hasn't done it yet. Doesn't mean he can't. Probably means there's something else that's a miss. Give him the roster. And I would actually argue you wouldn't have to give him as good of a roster as you'd have to give other coaches to win a cup. But if you give him the roster, it will work. If you build it, they will come. And, of course, the obvious example I always use, because I love the movie so much, and the book, is Moneyball, right? The beauty of Moneyball is it gets the most out of a overmatched roster, right? The most out of an overmatched payroll. But then when the Red Sox went out there and used the money and the same principles, they won a whole bunch of World Series. It's kind of that way for Brind'Amour right now. The way he coaches, as well as he coaches, the way he rallies a team, it's great, absolutely great for getting the most out of a roster that's a step or two below. But if you ever gave that system the top tier works, right, the materials, it'd be all good. And that's where you'd get the Red Sox, right? I guess the Canes are trying to be both the Moneyball A's and then the Moneyball Red Sox years later winning all the titles. Give him the roster, and it will work out. If you want to punish him for overachieving and say he shouldn't even, his Eastern Conference Finals record, okay, sure. Would it be better if he just didn't make it? I don't think that's the way to think either. Matter of fact, I know that's not the way to think. And if you want to have that conversation, I'm here and I have time now. I'm here and I have time now.